I remember the first time coming to New York, and that was after the army. I did a little backpack trip. I met with another friend, Tammy, from Israel, and she invited me to join her to the US. So that wasn't planned, it was a spontaneous decision. I basically jumped on a low-budget airline, paid $100 for the ticket, and ended up in New York. Her uncle owned the Edison Hotel and got me a room there. My entire budget for the entire trip was $700, and I remember waking up in the middle of the night, 2 a.m., going outside New York for the first time ever and looking at the high-rises, the lights, 42nd Street, Times Square. And I was really hungry, so I went to the little store at the hotel, and I didn't have any money, and all I could come up with were a few cents and less than $1, and I bought myself gum and some candy, and that was my dinner that day. Somewhere in a parallel universe, I'm still, in Israel and probably an officer in the Israeli army still. I was here on vacation in New York, and then got this phone call from this guy in Philadelphia who I didn't know and said, hey, come over for an interview.
We gave him his first real job at the startup company called Devon in Philadelphia. We were recruiting people. We were a young company. We were growing, and we were looking for good people.
Dave called me after getting my name from a friend of a friend that knew that I did some programming in this mathematical computer language in the Israeli army. I said, no, I have to go to California because I had a ticket to go to Disneyland. Dave then said, well, if you come over to Philadelphia, we'll put you in a nice hotel, we'll take you to dinner, we'll show you around, you'll get to see the Rocky Steps, the Independence Hall. And Dave said that if I came to Philly for an interview, he'll change my flight and they'll put me in a first class seat. So to me, that was what changed my life because I didn't have a lot of money, and I said, that's my opportunity to once in a lifetime fly in first class. And I figured I'll just go to Philly, and that's what happened.
And usually when you bring a candidate in, there's a certain procedure, there's an interview process. You ask some questions. How well do you know this? How well do you know APL? What's your experience and everything else? But with Yaron, it was very different.
Dave at the time was working on some problem, and he had me wait for the interview. So I looked over his shoulder and I saw him working on a problem with a software that he was writing. And the exact same problem, something that I worked on about a month before. And after 20 minutes waiting, I said, Dave, hey, if you don't mind, I can help you with this and we can move on with the interview and go to dinner. You promised to show me Philadelphia.
Pretty soon he came up with a solution, and we were talking about it. It was like we were already working together, And I said, when can you start? We just knew right away that this was a guy who would be a real value to our company.
And I called my mom and I said, I'm going to extend my vacation for a little bit. And that was it. I'm still on vacation.
פגשתי עם משפחה ירדנית, שהבן שלהם גם עבד בארצות הברית, והם הסבירו לי, בלי משפחה תומכת, העסק אבוד מראש. ואז אמא נסעה להיות עם ירון בתחילת תקופת ישיבתו באמריקה.
Chapter 1, phase 1 of my life ended, and a new chapter begins. In a new apartment, I'm living by myself in Philadelphia, meet new people, new friends. Most of my friends actually initially were people that I worked with at SunGuard. We used to have like a poker game, and every Friday you came to my house, and then I met some other new friends in Philly and felt more comfortable. I met Pat in a bar in Philly. We just started chatting. I probably made some stupid joke or a puzzle to him, hey, something, what's the square root of 7 or something like that. And we started chatting and connected.
I still remember the first thing that he said to me. We met at a bar in Philly, and we were just kind of standing next to each other. And we were young. This was 91, I think. And
like 18 then?
No, not that.
19?
20s. Mm-hmm. And he looked over and he goes, why are manhole covers round? You've heard this before.
No!
And I'm like, what? And
why are manhole covers round?
Because it's the only shape that won't fall into itself. I don't know.
That was a joke?
And I went home with him that night too.
Lucky.
That was right after I moved to Philadelphia, the same year, and probably, had like a one date with, one guy or 2 dates with somebody, and that was it. Then I met Pat, and we started dating right away after moving to Philly. When I joined management and became a vice president there, people were talking, dinners, making fun of some of the, gay people that they knew about in the office. So I decided I'm going to just keep it to myself. And it's tough actually having to keep a big secret of who you are and not being able to be yourself.
כשאני שמעתי שירון נוסע לארצות הברית, ישר הסתמרתי ואמרתי קדימה, אם הוא נוסע, אני נוסעת אחריו לעזור לו להשתקם שם. כעבור איזה 2-3 הוא היה בארצות הברית, או יותר אפילו, שהייתי שם כמעט חודש, פלוס אפילו. ראיתי שירון מוקף בחברים, כולם עזרו לו, כולם היו איתו. בנוסף לזה, אז הוא הכיר אחד בשם פטרו, שהוא היה חברו לחיים, שאני ממש הייתי שמחה לפגוש אותו ולדעת שהוא עומד ותומך בו. אחד תמך שם בשני, והיה כיף לראות את זה.
To everybody. Hello, Ricky Barbecue. Hello. Agidi shalom.
Hello, bye-bye.
Yaron, making a snow angel.
Where should I do
Even though I told him not to, but Yaron, are you gonna do it anyway?
Yes. Where do I do it?
Is Yaron crazy?
Yeah, very crazy.
Look at all the snow. Look it up. Transported from one country to another country, different language, different culture. But I remember in my dream speaking in English for the first time. And to me, that sort of signifies, wow. Up until now, I dreamt, and if I remembered anything, I was speaking in Hebrew. Now it's English, so English is now my primary language.